Tonight, I want to ask you one very small question. How many times has your whole day been ruined just because of one thoughtless comment from someone? One dry, short text, one glare, one cold, distant attitude. It is not a big event, but it sits there like a tiny splinter. You still work, you still laugh and talk, you still reply to emails, but inside, your mood has already been controlled by someone else's remote before you even realize it. If tonight, you are lying in bed, the light in your room is dim, your phone screen is glowing softly, and your mind keeps replaying one face, one sentence, one small moment that upset you, then this episode is for you. You are listening to Lucid Dream, a small corner of the night where late hours are not only for sleep, but also for sitting quietly with yourself a little more slowly, understanding yourself a little more clearly, and slowly growing up on the inside without any noise. Tonight, we are going to walk together through a very quiet journey, not a journey to become someone who is always calm like a robot, and not the kind of journey where you force yourself to swallow it. Pretend it is nothing. It is a journey to take back the right to own your own emotions, so that other people's words, other people's attitudes, their carelessness, their harsh tone, their bad temper no longer control your mood as easily as pressing a button. People often say, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius wrote that line for himself on nights when he was exhausted and under heavy pressure. Tonight, I want to borrow that sentence for you. No one in this world has the right to make you angry, has the right to make you feel small and useless, has the right to drag your mood all the way down to the bottom, unless you are the one who hands them that right. The problem is, most of the time, we hand it over without even knowing. Someone criticizes you, and you pull that sentence into your chest. You turn it over in your mind again and again, and then you add a whole long story on top of it. They must look down on me. I guess I really am not good enough. They probably do not respect me at all. Epictetus has a very familiar line. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. What happens is only one half. The other half lies in how we see it, how we understand it, and how we choose to respond. This episode will not teach you to pretend it does not hurt. It will not teach you to look cool and unbothered on the outside while you are breaking apart on the inside. It will not force you to become someone without feelings. On the contrary, I will sit with you and look straight at the moments when you are angry, the moments when you feel small and hurt, the moments when just one sentence is enough to make your eyes sting. But instead of letting your anger pull you away like a strong wind, we will learn how to pause for just one beat, give your feeling a name, take one small step back and see it from a little distance, and only then decide how you want to respond in a way that fits the kind of person you want to become. Throughout tonight, I will walk with you through 10 small lessons, not 10 rigid rules, but 10 different angles, so that each time someone upsets you, you no longer have to stand there helpless, watching your mood being dragged away. There will be a lesson about noticing that your reaction is always your choice, not an automatic explosion. There will be a lesson about stopping the habit of waiting for others to behave the way you do before you allow yourself to be at peace. There will be a lesson about the ego, about the need to be right, to win every argument. There will be a lesson about boundaries, about silence, about gratitude, about the art of putting down what has become too heavy in your hands. But you do not have to remember all of this. You do not have to analyze anything. You do not have to memorize any lesson. Tonight, your job is very simple. Just lie still, soften your shoulders, release the tension in your jaw, and let your breathing slow down a little. Let this narration drift through your room like the sound of a fan, like the sound of rain. Whatever needs to stay will stay with you on its own. Each time I mention a sentence from Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, or Seneca, it is not philosophy to show off. It is a small anchor for you to hold on to on the days when your heart feels ready to storm. Tonight, if you are tired of being dragged around by other people's emotions, if you are fed up with the feeling that just one sentence is enough to make you lose all your calm, then you can treat this episode as a night to reset your inner system. No rush, no pressure, just one small piece at a time. Now, if you are ready, we will start from the first step of this journey, the step where you understand that, no matter how chaotic the world outside becomes, your reaction is still something that lies in your hands. Try to go back to a very recent moment in your day. Maybe it was this morning, when someone replied to your message with a very short, dry text. Maybe it was this afternoon, when a coworker said something half joke, half serious, and you felt your mood drop as soon as you heard it. Or maybe at home, someone in your family spoke to you in a sharper tone than usual, and your whole body tensed up right away. Those things, they only lasted a few seconds, but the echo followed you around for hours. Here is the interesting part. Between the moment someone says or does something and the moment you flare up, feel hurt, annoyed, or angry, there is always a tiny space that we usually ignore. That space is where you choose how to react. Epictetus said something very simple, but if you listen closely, it cuts deep. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. It is not the event itself that decides everything, but the way you answer that event. Yet for many years, most of us live in the opposite way. People say something, and we react exactly on that level. Their words are heavy, we get heavily angry. Their words are dismissive. We start to feel smaller, one careless attitude, and we already have a whole storm rising inside. It is like we hand other people a remote control for our emotions and then forget that the remote was supposed to stay in our own hands. If tonight, as you listen to this, you feel that it is familiar, that is a very good starting point, not because you are weak, but because you are beginning to see that you have been living on autopilot more than you thought. Imagine a very simple situation. You text a friend, "I feel so tired today." They reply, "Yeah, hang in there." That is all. No extra questions. No real concern. No comforting words. In that moment when you read the message, two things happen. First, the event. You receive a short reply. Second, the story you start telling yourself in your head. They do not care about me, I am bothering them. They do not see me as a close friend like I see them. It is that second part that pulls your heart down. The anger, the sadness, the hurt often do not come from the actual words, but from the way you interpret those words, and in the tiny space between what happened and the story you add on top. That is where your power to choose lives. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." You cannot control the fact that other people are busy, careless, or clumsy with their words, but you always have a small space inside where you can look back at your own thoughts and ask, do I really have to interpret this in the worst possible way? Let me share a small metaphor with you. Imagine you are sitting on a very noisy bus, people talking, the engine running, children crying. You put on a pair of noise-canceling headphones. The noise does not disappear. It is still there, but you create a filter between you and the outside world. You are not forcing the whole world to be quiet. You are simply choosing what is allowed to reach you. Your emotions can work in the same way. Other people will still sometimes be rude, impatient, or unkind. Life will still be messy and inconvenient, but you can train yourself to have an inner pair of headphones so the noise outside does not hit your heart directly anymore. Putting those headphones on, what does that mean in real life? It means that each time something hits you, instead of reacting right away, you give yourself 3 small steps. These steps sound simple, but if you can practice them, they can completely change how you live with your emotions. Step 1. Pause and name the feeling when that short text lands on your screen. When someone speaks to you with a harsh tone, when a comment online makes you feel insulted, instead of reacting the way you always have, you pause for a beat. You do not have to pause for long, just long enough to ask yourself, right now, what am I feeling? Not how bad are they? Not why are people like this? But I am feeling hurt. I feel disrespected. I feel abandoned. When you can name the feeling, it is like turning the light on in a dark room. The feeling is no longer a shadow that rushes in and sweeps you away. It becomes something you can stand and look at from just a little distance. Oh, I am angry. Oh, I am in pain. Oh, I am feeling small. That alone is already a very big step. Step 2. Ask yourself, am I upset about what happened? Or about how I interpret it after you have named the feeling? You sit with it for a moment and gently ask yourself, what exactly just happened, strictly, without adding anything. For example, they replied to my message with a short answer and did not ask anything else. That is the event, and here's the part I am adding. They are not attached to me. They look down on me. They only remember me when they need something. When you can separate those two, you often see that the event is small, and the story you have added is the part that has grown huge. It is not that you are always wrong. It is not that other people are always innocent, but just noticing, oh, I am the one writing extra lines into this script already, helps your anger soften, at least a little. You start to see that you have a choice. You can choose to fully believe the negative story you just created, or you can choose to place a small question mark there and allow another possibility to exist. Maybe that person is tired. Maybe they are not good at showing care. Maybe they are so busy they do not notice. The important thing is not that you must find the exact right reason. The important thing is that you do not lock yourself inside one single script called, "It must be because I am not important enough." Step 3. Choose your reaction based on your values and your long-term peace wants. You have separated what happened from the story you added. This is the moment to ask a deeper question. If I react on autopilot right now, will that match the kind of person I want to become? Maybe your instinct is to text something harsh back, or to go silent and never reply again, or to send a passive, aggressive message to show them how much they hurt you. But if you look a little further down the road, you will see that those explosions usually give you only one thing: a brief flash of relief and a long tail of exhaustion and regret. Instead, you can try asking, what value do I want to protect here? Do I want to be a calm person or someone who is easily triggered? What do I want to protect more, my ego or my inner peace? Sometimes the right reaction is to reply honestly but gently, "Hey, that comment earlier really hurt me." Sometimes it is to let it go because it is small and because, in the bigger picture, the relationship is still worth keeping. Sometimes it is to step back and set a clear boundary for yourself. Whatever you choose, what matters is this: you chose it with clarity, instead of being dragged there by your emotions. Viktor Frankl, a psychologist who is deeply respected by many people who also appreciate Stoic ideas, has a very famous line: between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. Between what hits you and how you answer, there is always a gap. In that gap is your power. When you cannot see that gap, life becomes a chain of reactions. People say something, you explode in that same way. People treat you badly, you automatically shrink inside. But when you start to notice, oh, there is a small space where I can stop for a moment, you slowly take back your ability to lead yourself. It does not mean that from tomorrow on you will never be angry. It does not mean no one will ever hurt you again. It means that each time a feeling rises, you remember that you can pause for a beat, name it, trace where it came from, and then choose a way to respond so that later tonight, when you lie down, you still feel that you treated yourself kindly. If you want, right now, you can try a very small exercise. Think about a recent moment that upset you. It does not have to be big, just a moment that killed your mood a little. Close your eyes for a bit. Whether you are lying down or sitting, breathe in slowly and breathe out slowly. Then ask yourself, what exactly happened at that time? How did I interpret it? And if I could choose my reaction again, would I want to choose a different way? A way that keeps my self-respect and also keeps my peace. Just by beginning to see that your reaction is a choice, you have already taken a very long step out of that zone where your mood can be dragged anywhere by any random comment or attitude. From here, you and I will keep going a little deeper into another part where we talk about a very common source of anger and disappointment, those quiet expectations we carry that other people will think like us, behave like us, and the crash that comes when they do not. There is a very quiet kind of anger, not the kind where someone curses you to your face, not the kind where the insult is obvious. It is the softer but deeper kind that appears when you think, if it were me, I would never treat anyone like that. That sentence sounds very right. It comes from your good intentions, from your own standards. But that same sentence is also what hurts you more than you realize. Have you noticed this? The times you feel most disappointed are often not when people are bad, but when they do not behave in the way you think is right. You send a long, heartfelt message. They answer with one short line. You think, if it were me, I would read carefully, I would ask more, I would show more care, and your heart sinks. You always try to show up on time to every meeting. The other person is often late. You think, if it were me, I would never make someone wait like that. And the feeling moves from annoyance into wounded pride. You are always gentle when you say no. When you cannot help, you explain. You apologize properly. Meanwhile, someone else just disappears, reads your message, and never replies. In your head, a sentence lights up. If it were me, I would never do that to anyone, and you feel disrespected. The pain here is not only in what the other person does, but in the distance between them and the ideal version of how you think everyone should act. Every time you whisper, if it were me, I would never do that, you are quietly building a copy of yourself and then hoping the whole world will run after that copy. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself of something very simple and human. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. He did not write that to be pessimistic. He wrote it to remind himself of a truth, that each person carries a different set of traits, a different history, different wounds, a different way of thinking. If you keep demanding that everyone must think and act like you will be the first one to feel exhausted. No one grows up in the exact same house. No one is taught about sensitivity, respect, and listening in the exact same way. You may have had to remind yourself many times to be kinder to others, and you may forget that other people are also at very different stages of that same journey. The person who always replies with short messages may have grown up in a family where gentle words were rare. The person who is always late may live in a world where 15 minutes has never been treated as a big deal. The person who stays silent when you need them may not know how to face their own emotions, yet let alone hold space for yours. This does not excuse bad behavior, but it does help you step back a little and see that not everyone comes with the same settings as you. Epictetus said, "Remember, it is not he who gives abuse or blows who affronts, but the view we take of these things as insulting many times. What makes us feel offended is not only the action, but the quiet expectation behind it. They should know, they should understand, they should act the way I would." If you keep that expectation without ever saying it out loud, your anger will build up. Every time someone does not meet it, you quietly repeat, "If it were me, I would never do that." And you push yourself a little farther away from them. Letting go of that expectation does not mean accepting everything. It does not mean allowing people to do whatever they want. Letting go of expectation means you stop insisting that other people must live exactly like the version inside your head. Before you allow yourself to be at peace, you can still keep your standards for yourself. That you want to be kind, you want to be on time, you want to reply clearly, you want to listen to the person in front of you, but you no longer automatically think, "Anyone who does not do this is wronging me." You begin to shift from, "If it were me, I would never do that," to a softer line. "That is how they are at this stage, and I still have the right to choose how I respond." You have the right to state your needs, to say you do not feel comfortable when someone texts you like that. You have the right to reschedule if someone is always late. You have the right to create more distance from people who do not share your values, but you no longer let anger lead the way. You let clarity lead the way. Imagine a very ordinary situation. You have a close friend you often talk to. You always try to be there when they need you. One day you call them when you are really exhausted. They pick up in a rush, say a few quick words, then say, "I will call you back later," and never call back all night. You toss and turn, feeling both sad and angry. Wait, when they need me, I am always there. But when I need them, they disappear. If it were me, I would never make a friend feel that bad. That last sentence is the needle. If you stay in that sentence too long, you start building a whole wall. Tomorrow, your texts will sound colder. Your voice will become harder. But if you try to look a little further, you can ask yourself, am I angry because of what they did, or because I expect them to behave exactly like me? If the answer is both, then there are two things you can do. The first is to be honest with yourself about the difference. This person is not you. They may not yet have the capacity to hold emotional space for others the way you do. That can be sad, but it is reality. The second is that if this relationship matters, you can say something in a gentle way. "That day when I needed you, but you were busy, I felt a bit let down. Next time, if you are not free, just send me a quick line, and that will be enough." You are not condemning them. You are not labeling them. You are not pouring all your years of stored up hurt into one call. You are simply describing your feeling, describing your need. If that person values you, they will try to listen and adjust. If they do not, at least now you know. You know enough to adjust your expectations or adjust the distance. In both cases, you still keep your inner calm. Seneca has a line that fits this part very well. We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Many times, we suffer because we imagine a version of another person, and then get angry when they do not live according to that drawing. Letting go of the need for others to be like you is giving them back the right to be themselves, and giving yourself back the right to be at peace, whether they change or not. From there, you can build two things at the same time. On one side are your boundaries. You learn who can walk further with you, and who should stay at the level of simple acquaintance. You stop forcing people who do not fit you into the roles of family, soul friend, the one who understands me most. On the other side is gratitude for those who really try to understand you, even if they are clumsy. You begin to notice the small efforts instead of only seeing what is missing from a Stoic point of view. This is a very important step to stop fighting with what is outside your control. You cannot control whether the other person was tired that day. You cannot control whether they have learned how to listen, yet you cannot control how much their family taught them about respecting others, but you can control whether you turn that difference into a life sentence against them. You can control how you set your expectations. You can control whether you let anger speak for you today, or whether you choose to speak calmly or to step back. When you stop forcing others to be like you, you begin to notice something very light. The world does not suddenly become more pleasant, but your heart feels far less tight. You no longer feel betrayed. Every time someone behaves differently from you, you simply see they are being themselves, with all their flaws and limits, and you still have the right to choose how close you stand, how much you expect, and how fiercely you protect your own peace. From that foundation, you and I will move into a deeper layer of anger, a place that is very easily triggered, especially in arguments, the place where the ego whispers, "I must be right, I must win, I cannot lose." In the next stretch of this journey, we will talk about the need to always be right and how to loosen it so you can gain something even more valuable, a long-lasting peace inside. There is another kind of anger that does not come from short texts, does not come from someone being careless, but comes from arguments. This time, it is not just sadness or hurt. It is that feeling of your pride being touched. Do you remember the last time you argued with someone, maybe your partner, your close friend, your parents, or a coworker? At first, you were just talking about some small thing, about who was right and who was wrong in a situation, about whether things should be done this way or that way. But the more you talked, the louder your voice became, the hotter your face felt, the faster your heart beat. At some point, you were no longer sure if you were defending the truth or defending your ego. Marcus Aurelius has a line that is worth carrying with you. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. But in the middle of an argument, we often confuse being right because it is true with being right, so that we do not lose in the quiet. If you ask yourself, is what I am saying correct? The answer might be yes. But if you add one more question, is the way I am trying to win true to the person I want to become? The answer is usually not that simple. In every fight, there is always a tiny moment when things can turn in two directions. One direction is that you keep pouring out words, reasons, and examples to prove you are not wrong, to make the other person admit defeat, apologize, and say, "Fine, you are right." The other direction is that you take a deep breath and quietly ask yourself, what do I actually want more? To be right, or to be at peace, to win this conversation right now, or to keep this relationship healthy in the long run? The question sounds simple, but if you dare to answer honestly, it can soften a lot of your anger. Seneca called anger a brief madness. In that state, all you see in front of you is the need to be on top, to not be overshadowed, to have the last word. But when that brief madness passes, you lie in your room, the lights are off, you replay what you said, you remember the look in the other person's eyes, and your chest feels heavy, not exactly because you were wrong, but because you know you let your ego drive you too far tonight. Instead of blaming yourself more, we can sit and look more closely at that moment and practice something very small, learning to loosen the need to always be right, not letting go of truth, not accepting what is wrong, but letting go of the feeling that I am the center. I cannot allow myself to look like the one who lost. Imagine a situation between two people who are very close, you and your partner, for example, are talking about something very small, like someone forgetting to do something they promised. You say, "You promised you would call me after your meeting." They say, "I never promised to call right away. I only said I would tell you about it tomorrow." So, the conversation slides away from how hurt I felt when you did not call in to who remembers the exact sentence correctly. Both sides start digging through their memory, trying to recall which words were used, what tone of voice was there that day. One side thinks, "If I admit that I remembered it wrong, it means I was wrong from the beginning." The other side thinks, "If I back down, it means I am letting them step on my feelings." And so, both of you rush to defend your memory instead of defending your connection. In moments like that, things would be very different if just one of you paused and said something soft that actually takes a lot of courage. Maybe I remembered the details wrong, but what I am sure about is that I felt abandoned that day. Can we talk about that feeling first, and then deal with who remembered what later? That sentence does not mean you are admitting you were wrong about everything. It only means you are choosing to protect what matters more, helping the other person see where your heart was hurt, instead of proving how perfect your memory is. From a Stoic perspective, not every argument deserves to be fought to the end. Some conversations are about values, about the future, about safety, about things that truly cannot be ignored. But there are also conversations that, if you look at them from a few years ahead, you will ask yourself, why did I spend so much energy just to win one line in that argument? A small practice you can use whenever you feel ready to fight to the end is to ask yourself 3 questions. The first question, will this thing we are arguing about still matter after a week, a month, a year? If the answer is no, maybe you do not need to bring out all your weapons today. The second question, if I win this argument, what do I gain? And if I lose, what do I lose? What you gain might be a very brief sense of satisfaction, a reluctant nod. What you lose might be the softness in the other person's tone, the long-term trust between you, the safety that lets them open up to you in the future. The third question, am I mixing up protecting the truth with protecting my image in other people's eyes? If you are just afraid they will think you are stupid, or that you remembered wrong, or that you are weak, then maybe what you are defending is not truth, but a version of your ego. Marcus Aurelius has a gentle reminder he wrote for himself that also fits us very well. So other people hurt you. That's their problem. Their character is their burden. But your response is your responsibility. In arguments, it is the same. The other person may be rigid, may raise their voice, may twist your words and push you to the corner, but the reaction you choose belongs to you. Choosing to soften does not mean you are weak. Choosing to own your part of the mistake does not mean you are less worthy. Choosing to stop the conversation when it starts sliding into insults, does not mean you are accepting defeat. On the contrary, that is when you are protecting things that matter more than the feeling of winning your true self-respect, the way you treat someone you care about, and the peace you will carry home with you sometime. Letting go of the need to be right is as simple as changing the sentence you tell yourself from "I have to make them see that I am not wrong" to "I want to speak in a way that tonight I can look back on this conversation and not feel ashamed in front of myself." You can still keep your point of view, but the way you speak, the way you listen, the way you stop when things go too far, these are what show whether you are truly strong or just loud. If you pay attention, you will notice that people who are genuinely grounded do not usually need to prove they are right about everything. They listen a lot. They choose their battles. They know when they need to speak very clearly, and when they can let silence do the rest. Tonight, if a recent argument is still echoing inside you, if you feel you went a bit too far just to be right, try to slow your breathing down a little. You do not have to fix everything at once. Just start by noticing how your ego loves to whisper, "You have to win. You are not allowed to admit you are wrong," and then gently ask it back. Win for what? If afterward I still feel exhausted inside, from the day you dare to ask that question, you have already started to step out of that brief madness of anger. You do not have to stay silent in every argument, and you do not have to always give in. You only need to remember that every time your ego demands, "I must be right at all costs," you can take one step back, look at the bigger picture, and choose your goal again. Not always victory, but clarity, kindness, and long-term peace from that foundation. You and I will move into a place that is often forgotten, a place where many casual comments cut much deeper than people realize, the place where we let other people's criticism and judgment become the measuring stick for our own worth. In the next part of this journey, we will talk about how to stop letting others define who you are, and how to keep a clean inner space where your value is no longer pulled up and down by any passing remark. There are days when it is not because work is too much, not because your health is too bad, and yet your mood drops because of one single sentence, a small criticism, a passing sarcastic remark, a comment that sounds like a joke but lands exactly on the place you already feel insecure about. You are feeling okay with yourself, okay with your face, your voice, your abilities, and then someone throws out a line. "You look really worn out these days." You think that kind of work is worth bragging about. People your age are already so much further ahead. It only takes a few seconds to say those things, but sometimes they cling to you all day. You stand in front of the mirror longer than usual, staring at every line on your face, looking back at your life, asking yourself whether they might be right. Inside all those thoughts, something very quiet is happening. You have handed someone else the right to write the definition of your worth. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. It is not the sentence itself that breaks you, but the way you judge it, believe it, and replay it inside." There is a simple image that might help. It is as if inside you there is a courtroom. In the middle of the room is the judge's chair, the one who has the power to strike the gavel and declare, "You are worthy," or "You are a failure." In the quiet, that chair is supposed to belong to you, or at most be shared with a few core values you deeply believe in. But over time, we start inviting more and more people into that room. We hand them the chair: family, friends, bosses, co-workers, people who just pass briefly through our life. and sometimes even strangers with no real name from the internet. One critical comment, one offhand sentence suddenly becomes a very heavy gavel. You hear it, and you tell yourself, maybe I really am that bad. Maybe I am not good enough. Maybe they see me as nothing. Epictetus has a very powerful line. If a person gave your body to any stranger he met on his way, you would be angry. Yet you hand over your mind to anyone who comes along. If someone in the street suddenly dragged you away and handed your body to a random person to do whatever they want, you would be furious. And yet, every day, we hand our mind to so many passers-by, letting them draw, scratch, erase, and stain it however they like, just with a few words. This does not mean you have to become someone who does not care what anyone thinks. It is not that caring just enough about other people's perspective can help you adjust, help you grow. But there is a very important line between listening to feedback and turning feedback into a sentence. Listening to feedback is when you hold their words in your hand, look at them as something outside you, turn them gently, and separate which part is their angle, and which part might be something you can consider changing. Turning feedback into a sentence is when you let it fall straight into your chest without checking anything, and let it define who you are and whether you deserve anything. Let's go back to a very simple example. You work on a new project. It could be a presentation, a product, a piece of writing, a piece of content you poured your energy into. You bring it out and share it with someone. They just throw out a line. Looks pretty average to me, or anyone could do this. If that day you are tired and low on confidence, that sentence can become a full stop. You put the project away in a drawer. Tell yourself you have no talent. Tell yourself your idea is not worth anything. But if you try to break that sentence into 3 parts, things might look different. The first part is the person speaking. Where are they in their own life? Have they ever done something similar? Do they really understand what you are trying to build? The second part is how they speak. Is this a kind, constructive feedback with a wish to help you improve, or just an offhand, clumsy comment, or a way for them to offload their own frustration? The third part is the content itself. Is there even 1% of truth in their words that you can use to refine and polish your work? If there is, you can take that 1%, like picking up a small, useful stone, and leave the poison part behind for them. That part belongs to them, to their value system, to their speaking habits, to their own unresolved insecurity. You do not have to bring all of it home. It is like a package dropped at your door. You have the right to sign for it, or refuse it. Judgments are the same. They knock on the door of your mind every day through comments, through looks, through casual sentences. You cannot stop people from sending them, but you can practice not carrying every single package into your home. One small practice you can try is that each time you hear a sentence that hurts, repeat it in your mind, but add these words in front of it. That is just one opinion. That is just one opinion that I do not look fresh. That is just one opinion that my work has no value. That is just one opinion that at my age I should be further ahead. When you add that line, you are reminding yourself that between what was said and your real worth, there is still a distance. No one, whether they love you or not, has enough data to sum up your whole life in one line. Seneca once wrote about how afraid we are of people's judgments. What need is there to weep over parts of life when the whole of it calls for tears? He was gently reminding us that life is already hard enough. As it is, we do not need to let every small criticism become extra weight on a journey that already has so much to carry. This does not mean you close your ears and refuse to hear any comments. In fact, people who live with a Stoic spirit are often very willing to look at their own weaknesses, but with a different attitude. That attitude might sound like this: in what people say, if there is a small part that is true, I want to use it as a mirror to adjust myself, and all the venom I will leave with them. This way, instead of becoming a prisoner of judgment, you become the one who filters. You walk into each day knowing that some people will like you, and some will not. Some will see value in what you do, and some will not understand it at all. But you no longer let every sentence become a rope that pulls your self-worth up and down constantly. You start building a cleaner, inner space. In that space, you remember the things you have already done, the times you were kind even when no one noticed, the small efforts only you know about, the values you chose to live by, your sincerity, your hard work, your honesty with your own feelings. From that space, you open the door a little for the kind of feedback that truly wants to help you, and you close it to voices that only want to drag you down. There is a line from Epictetus that fits this very well. If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. If you want to grow, you will have to accept that sometimes you will look silly in other people's eyes. Accepting that does not mean letting people say whatever they want without limits. It means understanding that they see you through their own lens, through their fears, their expectations, their prejudices. You can listen, but you do not have to live according to every picture they paint of you. When you stop letting others define you, you will notice that your anger also changes color. Instead of exploding every time someone criticizes you, you pause a little, watch the sting, and ask, this sentence is touching which fear inside me? The fear of not being good enough, the fear of being left behind, the fear of not being recognized. When you can see that fear, you have a chance to heal from the root. Instead of running outside just to prove the opposite at all costs. From here, another very important truth appears that protecting your inner peace is not always only about how you think. In some situations, to protect your worth, you need to take one more step to draw a clear boundary on the outside. Not a cold, tall wall, but a boundary of respect, a boundary that tells others, this is how I want to be treated, and these are the things I do not accept. You and I will talk about this more, about protecting your energy with boundaries, about how to say no to certain things, so you do not have to keep saying no to yourself. There are days when you are not angry because of one sharp sentence, but because you feel pulled apart piece by piece. You say yes whenever someone asks for help. You listen whenever someone needs to vent. You keep rearranging your own schedule every time someone says they need you. By the end of the day, you are exhausted, tense, but you are not even sure who you are angry at. Are you angry at others for not being considerate, or angry at yourself for not daring to say no? A lot of quiet irritation does not come from people being terrible. It comes from the fact that we do not have clear boundaries. You say sure, it's fine when your body is already tired. You say it's okay, don't worry, while your chest feels heavy. You text okay when your mind is secretly wishing you could say, I don't have enough energy for this today. Saying yes to everything is actually saying no to yourself. Epictetus once gave a very sober reminder. No person is free who is not master of himself. You cannot be truly free if your schedule, your heart, your sleep are all decided only by other people's needs. Boundaries are not cold, brick walls built to push everyone away. Boundaries are soft, but clear lines that tell people, this is how I want to be treated, and these are the things I cannot keep enduring. They do not only protect you from toxic people, they also protect your good relationships from being worn down by piling resentment. Look at a few very familiar moments. You have a coworker who often asks you to help with something right at the end of the day at first, because you feel bad saying no, because you care, because you think I can handle it. You say yes, once, twice, and then it becomes a pattern. Soon, you are bringing work home, staying up late, paying with your own sleep. Your feelings begin to change color. You are not only tired, you start to feel angry. Why are they taking advantage of me? Why do they always throw things at me at the last minute? Why can't they plan their time like I do? But if you slow down and really look, you will see you also helped create that pattern. Every time you nodded without stating your limits, you were teaching them that it is acceptable to hand things to you at the last. Second, boundaries are not about waiting until you explode and shouting, "Stop bothering me." Boundaries start with very small sentences, spoken calmly and honestly. Something like, "I can help with this one, but next time, if you need something, please let me know earlier. I keep my evenings for my family." Or, "I cannot take on this extra task today. My schedule is already full, and I am afraid that if I rush it, it will not be good for either of us." You use sentences that start with I need, I prefer, I don't have capacity for this today. You do not attack, you do not accuse, you do not label them as selfish. You simply speak about your needs, your limits, your real capacity at first. You might feel very guilty, especially if, since you were young, you were taught that being good means always pleasing others, that being nice means never upsetting anyone, that being well-behaved means quietly carrying more than your share. But if you look carefully, you will see that people who always say yes are often the same people who one day explode very hard. They carry too many, "It's okay, I'll handle it," too many, "Fine, I will push myself a bit more," until at some point, any small sentence can become the last drop. That is when the anger no longer matches the situation in front of them, because it is carrying the weight of 10, 20, 100 times they stayed silent before setting boundaries. Early is how you avoid exploding later. Seneca once wrote about kindness without limits like this: "A kindness that has no limits can easily become a burden. Kindness without any boundary very easily turns into a burden for both the giver and the receiver." When you never say that is enough, other people also do not know where the stopping point is. The same thing happens in families. You might be the one who gets called for everything, from small tasks to big problems, from money to emotions, to fixing things around the house. You love them. You want to help, so you do it. But if there is never a day that is just for you, never a quiet pocket of time for your own rest, over time, a very hard-to-name feeling appears, a mix of love and exhaustion, wanting to be close and wanting to run away at the same time. Boundaries in family need even more gentleness, because they come with a lot of guilt. You can start with very simple sentences. "This weekend, I need one day to rest. I cannot go to all 3 places. Can we rearrange a bit? I love you very much, but those comparison comments are hard for me to hear. Can we talk in a different way?" Not every time will they understand right away. There may be hurt feelings, misunderstandings, and comments like, "Oh, now that you are grown up, you talk so sharply." But if you stay steady and keep respect in your tone, with time many relationships will adjust, because boundaries do not only protect you, they also save others from the confusion of why are they exploding like that today? What is the big deal when they cannot see the hundreds of times you swallowed it before. Between boundaries and coldness, there is a very clear gap. Coldness is when you shut the door, stop caring, pull back into yourself, and do not want anyone to touch you. Boundaries are when you still keep the door open, but you know when to close it part way because the wind outside is too strong. You can still love deeply, but not by erasing yourself. You can still support others, but not by spending all of today's energy and borrowing from tomorrow. And maybe the hardest part of setting boundaries is not the words you say, but learning to stay with the feeling that people might not like me right now. Many of us avoid saying no because we are afraid of being seen as difficult, afraid of being called selfish, afraid people will walk away. So we choose to sacrifice ourselves in order to keep an image of being sweet in everyone's eyes, but deep inside, we start to become angry with them, angry with life, angry with anyone who asks one more thing from us. From a Stoic point of view, letting people misunderstand you a little is still lighter than constantly betraying yourself. You can quietly remind yourself, I am not setting this boundary to fight anyone. I am setting this boundary to stand on my own side, and to give this relationship a chance to be healthier. One day, when you are more used to saying, I will sit this one out, if that is okay, I do not have the strength for that today. This is more than I can listen to right now. You will notice that your anger toward the world has gone down a lot, because by then, you are no longer passive, waiting for people to treat you badly and then blowing up. You are actively adjusting the distance, adjusting how far you allow others to step into your private space. Protecting your energy is not selfish. It is how you make sure that when you give, you are giving from the part of you that is still alive and fresh, not from the part that is already drained. And once you start drawing those first boundary lines, another question will naturally rise up. Why was it so hard for you to say no in the first place? Behind many reluctant yeses, there is usually a fear, the fear of being judged, the fear of being left behind, the fear of not being accepted. Looking into that fear is the next step in protecting your peace by gently separating your heart from the need to always be approved and agreed with by everyone around you. There is a kind of tiredness that is very hard to name, not the tiredness from doing too much work, but the tiredness from always watching what other people might be thinking about you before you send a message. You read it several times, edit it again and again, because you are afraid they will think you are strange before you post a picture. You hesitate, wondering if anyone will come in to criticize it, if it will get enough likes so you will not feel embarrassed. Before you make a decision about your own life, you already imagine your family's face, your friends' faces, your co-workers' faces, and what they will say. And many times you choose to step back just to avoid those judging looks. Living like that is like carrying a device in your hand that measures other people's reactions. And only when the measurement looks good do you allow yourself to feel okay about who you are. Marcus Aurelius wrote a line that cuts very deep. It never ceases to amaze me that we all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. It is strange, we love ourselves more than anyone, and yet we pay more attention to other people's opinions than to our own inner voice. When you live on approval, every compliment is a dose of sedative, and every criticism is a pair of scissors cutting into your heart. Someone only has to frown a little, and suddenly your whole day feels unsettled. One message left unread with no reply suddenly becomes proof that you are not important enough. From there, your emotions move up and down like a chart. pulled by outside things that you cannot control. Epictetus spoke very clearly about this. If you seek outside approval, you have made yourself a slave to those who give it. When you place your worth in other people's hands, every nod, every raised eyebrow becomes a chain. But this did not start in one day. It often comes from very early years. Maybe when you were small, you were only praised when you got high grades, when you were obedient, when you listened, when you did exactly what the adults wanted. Every time you were different, you were scolded, compared, judged. Slowly, your brain learned a very simple lesson. If you want to be safe, you have to be pleasing in other people's eyes. You carried that lesson into school, into your workplace, into your relationships. You smiled to fit in. You stayed quiet to fit in. You chose a career to fit in. You even chose who to love so it would fit. Until one day, you realized that even when you are praised a lot, you still feel empty inside, because what they are praising is not your real self, but a version that has been edited to fit the shape that people like. Stepping away from the need for approval does not mean you suddenly fight against the whole world, trying to look like you do not care, acting as if nothing anyone says matters. It only means you start to shift the position of the central chair. Instead of letting everyone take turns sitting in that seat to decide whether you are okay today, whether you deserve things today, you slowly pull that chair back to where it belongs, with you. You begin to ask a new question. Not how do they see me, but how do I see myself when I am alone with this choice? Imagine a situation. You want to change careers, start a new project, try a path that nobody around you has taken. Inside, you feel both excited and scared. Before you begin, you tell a few people. Someone laughs. Hardly anyone in the world manages to do that kind of thing. Someone frowns. Just stay stable. Stop dreaming. Someone ignores it because they do not understand. If you place all your trust in those reactions, your idea will die on the spot. You will tell yourself, maybe I am too naive. Maybe I am not good enough to do something different. But if, instead, you ask yourself this, when I think about doing this, what feeling comes up inside me? Does it feel lighter, more open, or does it shrink? If there is a part of you that feels alive again when you picture yourself on that path, then that voice inside deserves to be heard just as much as anyone's opinion. Seneca has a line that fits these turning points very well. No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself. The person who never dares to walk even a little against the crowd will never truly know who they could be if they lived in line with their own nature. This does not mean you ignore every piece of advice. People who have depth still respect feedback, but they use feedback as a compass, not as chains. A compass suggests a direction, but you are still the one who chooses each step. Chains keep you from moving, because the moment you imagine being criticized, you already want to run back to where you were. A very practical way to loosen yourself from the approval trap is to reset your priorities. Instead of making priority number one, do not let anyone think badly of me, you try switching it to, I want to live true to which values. For example, you might choose 3 values for yourself: honesty, effort, kindness. Each time you have to decide something, instead of asking, what will they think, you ask, what I am about to do, is it honest? Does it show my effort? Is it kind to others and to myself? If the answer is yes, then even if others do not understand, you still have a place inside to stand firmly. Another small practice is to allow yourself to be misunderstood. This sounds backward, but it is deeply freeing. Epictetus once said, "If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. If you want to grow, you will have to accept that sometimes you will be looked down on in someone's eyes, not because you are truly foolish, but because they see only a very thin slice of your life, a moment, a decision, without seeing the whole story behind it. You can choose to explain when it is needed, but you no longer panic, running after every viewpoint to correct it. You understand that if you spend all your time rebuilding your image in front of every single person, you will have no time left to live your real life. It is like walking on a windy road. You can try to control every gust of wind, command it to blow in the direction you prefer, or you can accept that the wind will sometimes be with you, sometimes against you, and practice keeping your own steps steady. When the need for approval reaches its extreme, you become very easy to hurt if someone disagrees. You feel as if you are wrong in everything. If someone is not enthusiastic, you decide you must be annoying. Then anger rises, but behind that anger is really the fear of being left behind. If you dare to sit still with that fear for a moment, look straight at it as if you are looking at a small child who is trembling, you will understand why you feel so upset when someone does not like you. Then slowly, you can whisper to it, "I am not going to leave you." Even when others do not understand, even when others do not agree, when you become the first person to stand on your own side, one negative comment, one cold look will no longer be enough to collapse you. You might still feel pain, still feel sad, but you will not shatter. And the interesting thing is, when you depend less on approval, you actually treat people more gently. You no longer need them to like you all the time. So you do not have to put on as many masks, do not have to act as much, do not have to get so angry when they do not react the way you hoped. You give them the right to not understand you immediately, just as you give yourself the time you need to understand yourself from that foundation. Your anger slowly loses one of its biggest fuels. It is no longer the kind of anger that says, "Why do they not recognize me? Why do they not see me as special?" But becomes, "They are seeing me from where they stand, and I will keep living by my values, with or without applause." When your inner world has started to quiet down, you will notice a very different kind of strength appear, a strength that does not need many words. Instead of reacting loudly every time you are criticized, you learn how to respond with a calm silence in the right places, not the silence of helplessness, but the silence that refuses to pour more fuel onto fires that do not deserve your energy. And that is where we are going next, into the space where you answer with steadiness, with quiet, instead of with rage. There are conversations where you know very clearly that no matter what you say next, it will only make things worse. The other person does not want to understand. They only want to win. They are not interested in listening. They are only waiting for their turn to hit back. Their voice gets louder. Their face heats up. Their words stop aiming at the issue and start aiming at you in that moment. The most natural instinct is to fight back, to find a line that hurts more, cuts deeper, sounds sharper. But then, when the night comes, when there is no more shouting, only the sound of your own heart, you realize those sentences are still there, like scratches, not only on them, but on you too. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. The best way to strike back is not to pick up the exact same weapons as the person in front of you, but to refuse to turn into them." There are situations where silence is not weakness. It is your way of refusing to keep playing a game that has already moved far away from what you consider Decent. Silence here is not storming off mid-sentence. It is not slamming doors. It is not a long, cold war. Silence is when you know you have said enough, said clearly, said everything that belongs to your side, and the rest does not need to be forced out. Try to remember a time when you went too far in anger. Maybe it was with family, during a fight with your parents, your siblings, your partner. In that moment, old stories began to flash through your mind, old wounds, old phrases that hurt you, things you kept for years. That anger opened the storage room. You pulled everything out, speaking while your body shook, feeling like you were finally dropping a heavy weight. Right after that, a heavy silence fell. You knew there were sentences you could have chosen not to say. Seneca once wrote, "Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it." Many times, it is the words we throw out in anger that hurt us longer than the original wound. If, in that moment, you had stopped just 2 sentences earlier, maybe both hearts would have been a lot less heavy. Silence at the right time is a form of discipline with yourself. When the person in front of you attacks, they want you to react, so they have a reason to keep going. When you do not jump in, that fire has a harder time growing. Epictetus has a very direct reminder. When someone is roused to anger with you, know that it is your judgment that is on trial, not theirs. When someone is angry with you, the thing being tested is not them. It is your response. You can absolutely look at a person who is losing control and quietly tell yourself, "I am not going to let myself get swept up in that wave." Silence, in this sense, can start with a single breath. When an attacking message arrives, you do not answer right away. You put your phone down. You get a drink of water. You take a few slow breaths. When someone says something way over the line right to your face, you do not fire back instantly. You give yourself a few seconds to notice that your heart is pounding. Your hands want to clench. Your ego is demanding to hit back. Those few seconds are enough for you to ask, the sentence I am about to say, is it going to help this situation, or is it only for my anger? If the answer is the second one, silence is the stronger choice. Of course, silence is not always the answer. There are moments when you need to say very clearly that you do not accept being insulted, that this behavior is not okay, and that if it continues, you will step away from the conversation. But after you have stated your boundary, arguing further usually only tangles things. More. Silence then is like turning off the tap so the room does not flood. One small practice is to set yourself a 3 times limit. If you have already explained, already shared your feelings, already presented your point of view, and by the 3rd time the other person still only wants to attack, you stop. You stop, not because you ran out of reasons, but because you know the conversation is no longer standing on the ground of respect. You can say something very calm, like, "I have said everything I needed to say about this. For the rest, I think we should pause here. If we need to, we can talk again when we are both calmer." Then you keep that promise to yourself. You do not keep extending the fight with more messages. You do not post vague status updates to hit back. You do not retell the story to a 3rd person just to warm the fire up again. Silence in this way is not suppression. It is choosing to end it. Of course, there will be people who treat your silence as losing. They may say, "You went quiet because you had nothing left to say." If you hold on to that sentence, your ego will rise again and want to dive back in. But if you remember that your goal is peace, not victory, you will see that being called the one who backed down a little is much easier than staying in a pointless war. Silence is also a way of telling yourself, I am not obligated to join every fight people invite me into. You do not have to answer every provocation. You do not have to correct every misunderstanding. You do not have to rewrite every version of your story that others tell. Because if you spend your whole life running around putting out those fires, you will have no breath left to build a life that has real depth. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You always own the option of having no opinion. You always have the right to not give an opinion, to not react, to not grant every issue permission to enter your inner world. When someone brings you a story full of negativity about you, about others, about the world, instead of jumping in with your own take, you can choose to stay quiet. When social media erupts with a new wave of arguments and everyone has something to say, you can stay silent and bring your attention back to what you can actually control today. That kind of silence is not loud, but it is how you protect your mind from noise you do not need." Another reason silence becomes powerful is that it gives you time to hear your own voice inside. In the middle of back and forth words, it is very easy to forget how you actually feel, what actually matters. When you pause, when you do not send the next message, do not say the next line, do not enter the next round, a small space opens up. In that space, you can see more clearly which part of you has been touched, which fear is speaking, which old wound has just been reopened. From there, the next time you face a similar moment, you will be less likely to get dragged away. Silence, on a deeper level, is also a kind of trust. Trust that not everything needs your explanation right now. Some misunderstandings can only soften with time and consistent actions. Some people, no matter how you talk, will only listen with their ears, not with their hearts. Keeping your own heart steady is the only way not to drown with them. Little by little, you will see that when you no longer answer everything with anger, other people lose some of their power over your mood. They can be harsh, they can mock, they can try to pull you into their game. You still have the right not to play. You have the right to walk out of the room, turn off the screen, put your phone down, wash your face with cool water, breathe in, breathe out, and look again at what truly deserves your energy. As you grow used to these pockets of silence, inner calm stops being something distant. It becomes a more natural choice each day. And as anger stops filling all the space in your chest, something else can finally enter a very quiet state where even in the middle of irritation, you can still find something to be grateful for, like a small anchor pulling you out of the spiral of frustration. There are nights when you lie down in bed, eyes still open, and your mind keeps replaying that conversation from earlier in the day. The more you replay it, the more irritated you feel. The more you run through every word, every line, the more unfair it all seems. The other person might already be fast asleep. They might be watching a movie, chatting with someone else, but the anger, it stays with you. It takes up the space where your sleep should be. It eats away the quiet peace you could have used to recover from a long day. It sounds strange, but right in moments like that, gratitude can become a small doorway that lets you step out of the spiral of frustration, not the pink, sugar-coated kind of gratitude that pretends everything is fine, that forces you to tell yourself, it's okay, everything is good, but a very real, very quiet kind of gratitude that helps you get a wider view again. Instead of shining every spotlight only on the wound, Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Dwell on the beauty of life, watch the stars, and see yourself running with them." He did not say, "Forget everything that hurt you." He was simply reminding us that if you let all of your attention stick only to what you hate, you will miss a whole sky that is there. At the same time, there is something interesting about the mind. It has a hard time staying in deep gratitude and in explosive anger at the exact same moment. When you truly touch something that makes you feel lucky, softer, warmer inside, the anger naturally becomes less sharp. It may not disappear, but it loses some of its power to control you. Imagine a stressful afternoon. You come home from work, already tired. Someone says something insensitive, and you feel disrespected. On the way home, your thoughts keep looping. How could they talk to me like that? I should have snapped back harder. Next time I will not be so kind. You get home and bring that whole cloud into your room the moment you notice, oh, I am stuck in this irritation. That is the moment you can try a very small practice. You are not forcing yourself to cheer up. You are just giving your mind a different task. You can sit down or lie still, breathe in, breathe out a little slower than usual, and then ask yourself, in this situation, is there anything at all I can be grateful for? Even a very small part. At first, your mind will probably answer right away. There is nothing to be grateful for. They were terrible. You can nod at that answer and then gently ask again. Okay, putting that aside for a moment, in the rest of my day, is there anything I truly appreciate? Maybe a coworker helped you out. Maybe your morning coffee tasted better than usual. Maybe your body, even though it was tired, still carried you through the whole day. Those things do not erase the sentence that hurt you, but they remind you that your day was not only one dark moment. Each small point of gratitude is like turning on another light so the room is no longer completely dark. Epictetus once encouraged his students to pay attention to what they already have, instead of only resenting what they do not have. He said, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." The wise person is not the one who never loses anything, but the one who knows how to find joy in what is still there. When you are angry, this can be a hard line to swallow, but if you give yourself a few slow breaths and try it quietly, you will see it is not an empty comfort. You can take it one step further. Inside the very situation that triggered you, you look for 1 to 3 small things you can still be grateful for. It sounds backwards, but try it. For example, someone treated you poorly, and you are shocked to see they are not who you thought they were. Alongside the pain, you might note, "I am grateful that today I can see this relationship more clearly," or "I am grateful that I still have a choice to adjust the distance, and I am not completely stuck," or "I am grateful that this discomfort is showing me which wound inside me is still unhealed." These gratitude sentences do not deny the hurt, but they move you from the position of a helpless victim to the position of someone who is learning something from what happened. Seneca has a strong angle on this. A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. No gem becomes bright without friction. No person truly grows without some trials. If you treat every irritation, every clash, only as proof that life is unfair, your anger will flare up even faster. But if sometimes you add one more question, in this situation, is there anything that might be shaping me for the better? Then gratitude has a chance to spark even on a gray day. Gratitude does not turn pain into pleasure, but it does change what that pain means. There is a very simple way to build this habit every day, especially on days when you are easily annoyed before you sleep. Write down or quietly name 3 things you are grateful for. They do not have to be big. A sincere message, a good meal, a commute home with no traffic, a conversation that made you laugh for real. If that day held something upsetting, you can leave it there. You do not have to force it away, but next to it, you place 3 small bright spots. Over time, your mind will be less likely to exaggerate the dark parts, and will begin to see that your life was never just one bad person, one bad sentence, one bad event. When anger rises in the moment, you can also use gratitude as a tiny reset button. For example, someone cuts in line, talks to you disrespectfully, or answers you with a harsh tone. Instead of letting your thoughts rush straight into, "They really have no manners, that's it. I am done being nice," you slip one line in between. "I am grateful that I still have the choice not to react the way they do." It sounds simple, but this line reminds you that you are not required to mirror someone else's ignorance. You can keep your voice soft, choose to step away, choose to end the conversation without carrying more anger with you. Moments like that build a sense of ownership. Ownership here is not about controlling everyone. It is about not letting your emotions be completely dragged around by them. Another deep source of gratitude is your own body. Every time you are angry, your heart speeds up, your chest feels heavy, your throat tightens, your jaw clenches. Your body is telling you, something here is going beyond what I can quietly handle. You can be annoyed at these sensations, or you can be quietly grateful that your body is signaling, "I need to stop, I need to step away, I need to set a boundary, I need to care for myself." If you treat your body's signals as an enemy, you end up angry at others and also angry at yourself. If you see them as reminders, you start to care more for yourself, and your anger no longer has to scream so loudly just to get your attention. There is another gentle thing, even inside difficult relationships. There are usually small pieces of kindness. A family member who often speaks harshly might also be someone who has taken care of you a lot. A coworker who can be tactless might also have stood up for you at times. Being grateful for the bright pieces does not excuse the dark ones, but it helps you avoid turning a person into pure black or pure white dot in many cases. This angle softens anger a lot because you stop stamping them with the label bad person and instead see they are clumsy in how they love and live, just like me. When gratitude has a place at the table, anger no longer has the only microphone. Instead of, "Why is this happening to me?" the new question becomes, "What is this trying to teach me? And while I am learning that lesson, what can I still appreciate?" There is no formula that guarantees that gratitude will erase all irritation, but if you keep going, little by little, and plant gratitude right in the middle of the moments that do not go your way, you will notice you are less easily swept off your feet, less likely to let someone else take up all the space inside your heart. And with that softer perspective, you will find it easier to handle something that seems small but is actually very important, facing criticism. Instead of seeing every criticism only as an attack, you can start to see it as a mirror, sometimes distorted, but still capable of reflecting some part of you back to yourself. Then anger at being criticized no longer has to be your only response. It can step aside for a gentler question. What, if anything, can I use from what they said to become a better version of myself? There is a very familiar feeling every time someone criticizes you, whether gently or harshly, whether directly or in a roundabout way. There is always a clear sting inside. Your heart skips a little. Your stomach feels a bit cold. Your face gets warm. One part of you wants to explain, to defend, to prove. It is not like that. Another part just wants to walk away, to go silent. to act as if that person does not exist, and then anger rises. Anger at being misunderstood, anger at being judged, anger because you already tried so hard and still got criticized. If you let that reaction run its full course, every criticism becomes an arrow, shooting straight into your self-respect, and every day you step out into the world feels like walking through an archery range. But if you pause for a moment and look more closely, criticism can also become a mirror, distorted, yes, but still able, sometimes, to reflect something back to you that you would not easily see on your own. Epictetus said something quite blunt. If anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses about what is said of you, but answer, "He was ignorant of my other faults. Else he would not have mentioned these alone." He was not telling you to enjoy being spoken badly of, and he was not saying, "Forget it all." He was reminding us that we never have only one flaw, and if someone has taken the trouble to point something out, then maybe we have just been handed another chance to look at ourselves. It sounds light, but to live that way requires a lot of calm. Let us step into a specific situation. You finish a project and present it. You stayed up extra nights, revised it again and again, poured a lot of heart into it. After the presentation, your boss or the person in charge says, "This part is too long, it is missing a strong point, and the way you speak is not confident enough." Just hearing that can make your heart sink on the spot in your head. A chain of thoughts might appear. "I should not have taken this on. I really have no talent. No matter how hard I try, it is useless." The anger begins to change shape. Angry at them for being so blunt. Angry at yourself for not being more perfect. Angry at the world for not understanding you. If you stop there, criticism becomes a hammer smashing your belief in yourself. But if you pull your chair a little closer, take those words, put them down on the table, and separate them into pieces, everything becomes a bit lighter. The first part is their tone of voice. Some people give feedback in a very rough way because they do not know how to speak differently. Some mix their own irritation into it while they talk about you. That tone can hurt. You have the right to admit that the way they said it really hurt me. The second part is the content, inside, beneath all the words that are hard to hear. Is there anything, even 1%, that you could use to become better? Maybe the presentation really was a bit long. Maybe your voice really was a bit shaky. Maybe you really did fumble in a few spots. Admitting that does not mean you are useless. It only means you still have room to grow, Seneca wrote. No one is more teachable than the one who is aware of his own ignorance. No one is easier to teach than the person who knows they still lack something. When you dare to acknowledge your own gaps, criticism stops being a death sentence and starts becoming source material. The third part is your choice. You can choose to carry the whole package of criticism home, including the rough tone, and let it weigh you down from tonight into many nights after. Or you can choose to take 1 or 2 useful points, drop them into your things to practice pocket, and let the rest fall to the ground. Right there it is, like someone sending a box to your house. You open it and see that inside there are a few useful items and a lot of junk. You do not have to keep everything. Some things you can throw away without regret. Judgment works the same way. You cannot control who speaks or what mood they are in when they speak, but you can control what gets to stay inside you. One small practice is this. Whenever you receive feedback that hurts, do not react right away. Take a few deep breaths. Look straight at that feeling of wounded pride. And then ask yourself 3 questions. First, does this person truly understand my context and my effort? If not, you can quietly lower how much weight you give their words. Second, in what they said, is there anything that overlaps with things I have already suspected about myself? If yes, that might be a point worth revisiting. Third, if I treat this feedback like an exercise, what is the smallest step I can take this week? Maybe it is practicing in front of a mirror for 5 minutes each night to steady your voice. Maybe it is asking someone you trust to watch your presentation recording and give more specific suggestions. Maybe it is simply rewriting your outline to make it tighter. When you turn criticism into concrete action, your sense of helplessness shrinks, and your anger does too, because at that point, you are no longer just the one being judged. You become the one training yourself. Marcus Aurelius used to remind himself, whenever someone made things hard for him, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. The obstacle can become the path. Criticism, seen from this angle, is not only a block in the road, but also a push that sends you toward a clearer direction. Of course, not every opinion deserves your energy. Some criticism is spoken only to hurt, to belittle, to help the speaker feel above you. With those cases, the work you need to do is not to squeeze meaning out of them, but to set a boundary. See that person clearly, accept the truth that they should not have the right to speak with authority about your life. One throwaway comment online from an anonymous account should not have the power to drag you to the bottom for days. Someone who has never really walked beside you should not have the power to define your worth. With voices like that, your best tool is the ignore button, not because you are weak, but because life is too short to pour your energy into mirrors that are crooked on purpose, with people who genuinely want the best for you, even if their way of speaking is clumsy. You can choose to soften a little instead of armoring up. You might say, "What you said made me think a lot. Some parts feel true to me, and some parts I need more time to sit with." That sentence opens a space for dialogue instead of war. You allow yourself to protect your heart without shutting the door completely on uncomfortable truths. Another important thing is not to expect that, once you become more mature, work better, live more kindly, all criticism will disappear. Seneca reminded us very clearly, "I shall never be ashamed to quote a bad writer with a good saying." If a good line can come from an imperfect person, then a bad, unfair criticism can also land on someone who is walking the right way. You can be someone who works hard, and there will still be people who call you ambitious in a bad way. You can be someone who lives sincerely, and there will still be people who call you fake. You can be someone who quietly does the work, and there will still be people who call you boring. If you keep reshaping yourself until nobody has anything negative to say, you will lose yourself long before you reach that day. What is more realistic is to live in a way that, at the end of the day, when you look in the mirror, you know you tried your best, treated others with decency, and stayed honest with yourself. On that foundation, praise becomes a gift, criticism becomes material, and neither is a weapon anymore. The sting of being criticized will not disappear completely. You are still human, still easy to touch. But if next time you hear something that makes you flinch, you can quietly say to yourself, "All right, let me see if there is anything here I can use. The rest I will let the wind carry away." Then, in that moment, you have turned the mirror a little, from pointing at you to condemn, to pointing at you so you can fix your hair, straighten your clothes, stand a bit taller, and keep walking. when criticism no longer destroys you, but becomes part of your training. You have already moved a long way forward on the path of taking back ownership of your emotions. And then, there is still one heavier layer, not just a few sharp comments, but old grudges stored for years, stories you retell to yourself, again and again, to keep the fire of anger burning. Holding them is like gripping a hot coal in your hand. Your heart believes that one day you will throw it at someone else, but the first person who gets burned is always you. Letting that coal drop from your hand, releasing it, is not about pardoning them. It is about freeing yourself. That will be the final step in tonight's journey. There are stories you have told yourself so many times that just remembering one small detail makes your heart ache in a very familiar way. An old sentence, a moment of betrayal, an argument that still has no gentle words even now. Sometimes, just seeing that person's name, hearing someone mention that place, or walking past where it all happened, is enough for the anger to rise back up whole, not as burning hot as the first day, but heavy and deep. You know it has been a long time. You know you should have moved on. You know holding on will not change anything, but you still hold it, like a hand gripping a burning coal, already blistered, but still thinking, when I finally get the chance, I will throw this at the one who hurt me. But through all that waiting, the one getting burned bit by bit is you. Seneca gives a very sharp image. Anger, if not restrained, is more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it. Anger that is never put back in its place often hurts you longer than the thing that made you angry in the first place. Letting go is not saying, it was nothing, it was just a small thing, I forgot it already, while inside, everything is still there. Letting go is not pardoning a wrong action and not pretending it never happened. Letting go is when you decide you will no longer allow the past to keep draining the energy of your present. You look straight at what happened. You call it by its right name. You acknowledge the wound, and then you softly ask yourself, if I hold on to this feeling for one more year, what will I gain and what will I lose? You might gain the sense that you still own the story, that you still have not forgiven them, that you are being loyal to your own pain. You lose full nights of sleep. You lose mornings that could have started light. You lose your ability to trust again. You lose easy meals, simple meetings, moments where you cannot be fully present because your mind keeps walking back to the old scene. Letting go does not make the past prettier, but it allows the present to be less stained by it. Take it step by step. The first step is to let your anger and your pain speak in words. Many of us either explode or swallow everything. Exploding is when you throw it all back into their face with sentences sharp enough to tear both sides even more. Swallowing is when you smile, say it is fine, and carry it all home to lie inside your chest alone. Both ways keep the anger stuck. You can try a different path, softer, through writing. You do not need to send it to anyone. You just take a piece of paper or open a note and write the story from your point of view. Write down what they did, what they said, how small you felt in that moment, how disappointed you were, how much you had tried before it all broke. You write for yourself not to prepare a case, but to lay the whole story out on the page, instead of letting it run in circles in your head. Once the words are on paper, you gain a little distance. Then, at the end of the page, you add one more question. By holding on to this anger, what important thing am I really protecting right now? If the answer is nothing, or only my hurt ego, that is the moment you can whisper, I agree with myself that this was very painful, but today I choose not to keep feeding it. The next step is accepting a hard truth. There will never be a different past for this story, no matter how many times you rewind and edit it in your mind. If only I had said this instead. If only I had not trusted like that. If only I had never met them. What happened is still what happened. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself of this many times. Let the past bury its own dead. The past belongs in its own part of your life. You are not erasing it. You are putting it where it belongs. Each time your mind drags you back, you can gently bring it to the present with a calm sentence. That story is finished. Right now is tonight, this room, this breath. You do not have to cut it off harshly. You do not have to scold yourself. You just repeat it softly, the way you would soothe a child who cannot sleep. Another step is giving each person back their own share of responsibility. What they did belongs to them, to their values, their fears, their wounds, their level of maturity at that time. What you did belongs to you, to your limits of understanding then, to your situation, to your wish to be loved, to be trusted, to be seen. Letting go is not saying nobody was wrong. It is simply refusing to use their wrong actions as a weapon to sentence yourself for the rest of your life. You can look back, acknowledge your own unready parts, and learn to, next time. Set boundaries earlier, choose more carefully, trust more slowly. In that way, the past becomes a lesson, not a life sentence. There is a powerful question you can ask yourself whenever you catch your mind replaying the old movie. Is this really worth trading my peace today for? Not every answer will be no. Some stories need deep work. They need to be held with a therapist or spoken out in a safe space. But many stories are only still alive because you keep feeding them with attention. If your answer is, it is not worth it, let that answer lead. Sometimes letting go looks like a very small ritual. Some people write out everything they have held onto paper, then tear it up as a way of telling themselves, these lines have been witnessed, but I will not let them drive me anymore. Some choose to sit still, place a hand on their chest, breathe in, breathe out, and picture the hot coal in their hand being gently placed down on the ground. You can find your own way, but the meaning is the same from that moment on. You are no longer willing to pay with your health, your sleep, your mind, for a story that is already over. Letting go does not make you weaker. It gives back to you a huge amount of energy that was tied to people and events that are no longer here. When that space opens, you can give it to other things, to the ones who are treating you well now, to the work you are building. 2 small joys that let you live more deeply each day. Looking back over the whole journey tonight, you will see that not letting others control your emotions is not one big jump, but many small steps woven together. From noticing that your reaction is your own choice, seeing the gap between what happens and how you interpret it, to easing the demand that others must act like you would, so you stop setting yourself up for constant disappointment. Letting go of the need to be right, so you can protect what matters more than winning an argument, refusing to let harsh words become your measuring stick, and treating them as opinions only. Setting boundaries, so you do not stay angry at people for parts where you never spoke up. Untangling your heart from the trap of living on other people's approval, and starting to stand on your own side, learning to be silent at the right time, instead of pouring more fuel on fires that are not worth it, using gratitude as an anchor, to pull yourself out of the days when you feel like raising a storm, and finally, daring to gently put down what is old, so your hands have space to hold what is here. Today You do not have to remember all 10 lessons. Life is not an exam. You only need to choose one thing that touched you most tonight. Maybe it is practicing a small pause before answering a message that upsets you. Maybe it is trying one soft boundary sentence with someone you usually just go along with. Maybe it is writing out an old story and asking yourself for the very first time, how much longer do I want to wait before I allow myself to be at peace with this? Emotional mastery is not living without feelings. It is little by little choosing your response instead of letting your reflex choose for you. No one in this world has the right to hold the remote for your mood unless you hand it to them. And starting tonight, if you want, you can try to quietly take that remote back. Place it in your own hand again, even if it is only for a few small moments each day. Now, you do not need to do anything more. You do not need to analyze. You do not need to remember. You do not need to push yourself into any perfect version. Just let your body rest. Soften your shoulders. Loosen your jaw. Let your breath slow down a little. The night outside is settling. The noise of the long day has moved to the background. If there is any anger left inside, you can say softly to it, "Thank you for protecting me for such a long time. Tonight, you can rest for a while so I can sleep." You do not have to fix all of yourself in one night. You only need to sleep fully through this one night as someone who is taking their first real steps on the path of owning their own emotions. The rest can wait for tomorrow.